Okay, now we're doing it. Right, we're doing it. Hi, I'm Viv, and I'm jumping on the LinkedIn video bandwagon because I'm in lockdown at the moment and I want an excuse to wear makeup today and do my hair, so we're doing it. We're going to dispel 3 influence marketing myths. So for those who don't know who I am, my name is Viv and I'm the founder of Be Influence. We're an influence marketing agency based in Manchester. However, we're in my bedroom in Warrington. I wanted to do this video because I was writing a report about influencer marketing, realised that it just doesn't come across very well, and I thought it'd be best to just sit down, speak in front of the camera and just get it done, bish bash bosh. So, dispelling myths number 1. Shall I do one of those cool things? It's like one. Whoom. No, I don't think my video editing abilities allows me to do that. So influencer marketing only works in beauty and fashion. What do we think? So I would say this is a complete myth. Influencer marketing, if you think about it, can work in any sector because unlike other forms of marketing, whatever sector you're in, there's always someone who's going to be influential within that sector. And the key to creating influencer marketing campaigns for sectors that might be a bit dry, like paint, for example, I've done a paint brand deal before, is to create compelling content, work with the influencers to create really compelling content that is actually entertaining and enjoyable for their audiences to watch. So my main tip, if you're looking to work with an influencer or if you're working with a client whose brand might be a bit dry, think about how you could use the influencers as part of your creative team to come up with a concept together with them, get familiarised with their content and do your due diligence when it comes to the influencers' content themselves. The more you are familiarised with an influencer's content, the more you can actually come up with a coherent plan with the client and the influencers together. So at Be Influence, we painstakingly research every single influencer that we work with, from quantitative factors such as their engagement rates, their reach, to the data behind the demographics, all the way to qualitative things. So things like the quality of their content, what brand deals they've worked with before, their tone of voice, things that platforms can't necessarily track. Myth number 2, they're just another media platform. So a lot of people that I speak to who haven't worked with influencers before, they make the assumption that influencers are just a megaphone for your message, which is completely the wrong way to work with influencers. If we start looking at influencers as just a media platform, as just a platform that you can book views on, then you're missing a big trick here when it comes to collaborating properly with influencers. So as I mentioned before, the best tip for this is to involve influencers in the creative process. Trust them to create the content for you. After all, they've built up their audiences for a reason. So think about that when it comes to the briefing process. How can you onboard them as early as possible to get ideas out of them? Tip number 2 is to not expect a regular ad. So when you think of a TV ad, you might whack your logo on a video, you might say a slogan that is scripted. But the one thing that we need to bear in mind is that a lot of the time, influencers aren't actors. It's always best when you let them interpret the brief in their own way. Don't try to stick an advert within a YouTube video, for example, which has happened before. It didn't go down well because if you think about it from the audience perspective, they want to be entertained when they're watching the content. And the brand deals that have the best perception is when they integrate naturally into an influencer's content, that it still feels entertaining for people to want to watch. And then myth number 3 is that they are all so expensive. I've heard people quoting some of the top influencers, millions and millions of pounds, which can be the case, but also doesn't have to be. So when we look at the term influencer, this can mean a whole range of things, from digital first talent to celebrity influencers to reality TV influencers. So some people ask us, so how much does a campaign cost? But this is exactly like asking, how much does a TV campaign cost? It all depends on loads of different factors. But one thing to bear in mind is that influencers' costs vary depending on loads of different factors. So their follower size, whether they're managed by a talent management agency, how long they've been doing it for, whether they're an expert in a certain field, the quality of their content, it all comes into play. So when you're looking at building out an influencer strategy, think about your objectives. Always go back to your objectives when you're building a strategy out. You could consider working with micro influencers. You could consider working with a community of influencers that are just regular layman's people who don't have big followers. So it doesn't have to be expensive, as long as you always refer back to the objectives. What are you trying to achieve, first of all? And then also bear in mind that influencers or their management usually put together package costs for larger scale campaigns. So there's always room to negotiate, so always bear that in mind. And when it comes to negotiating, make sure that you include any usage costs, so things like paid media, out of home, TV will all come with additional usage costs. Make sure you have these agreed upfront with a contract, with a brief before starting any work. So that's it. That's my first video. I really hope that it's been somewhat useful. Don't know how often I'm going to be doing these because, let's face it, we're in lockdown. Productivity levels sometimes are really high, sometimes really low. We just got to go with the flow here. But if you did like this video, then please do get in touch and let me know what other topics you want us to talk about at Be Influence with regards to influencer marketing. Or otherwise, I could just show you what I do in my day-to-day life. I could tell you about what I'm reading at the moment, what Disney Plus films I'm watching, who knows. But for now, we're going to keep it about influencer marketing. Thank you.